A few days after celebrating my 17th birthday, a few of my buddies and I were cruising around town in one of our cars, not exactly on our best behavior. We were passing bottles, goofing off, and generally up to no good. We found a spot to park, had a few smokes, and blasted some music, hanging out long after the sun had set. As the night wore on, our hunger got the better of us, and we decided to drive over to Burger King for a bite to eat. By this point, I was pretty drunk, and I'll admit that I wasn't exactly a model citizen. To our dismay, the Burger King drive-thru inexplicably seemed closed. So, we decided to park the car, got out, and entered the restaurant. At the front of a long line, there stood a woman who was quite overweight. She appeared to be in the midst of an animated complaint about her order, wildly flailing her arm flaps around. My buddies and I, somewhat intoxicated, couldn't help but watch this spectacle unfold for about a solid 8 minutes. She made a complete spectacle of herself, holding up the entire line. Finally, she stepped aside to wait for her corrected order, and the line began moving again. The ham beast's antics had irritated everyone in the restaurant, including the workers behind the counter, who were clearly fed up. When I reached the front to place my order, I was feeling somewhat cocky and righteous. I thought that if I made the workers laugh by poking fun at the ham beast, I might get a free meal out of it. So, I said something along the lines of, "May I apologize on behalf of humanity for the irate snuffling of my heavy friend here?" The onlookers left speechless, looked shocked, glancing between the ham beast and me, anticipating the fallout. Surprisingly, the ham beast didn't lose her temper. She didn't say a word. She just stood there, visibly angry. The workers then brought her the corrected order, and she sat down to eat. We got our food and sat on the opposite side of the restaurant. My buddies were congratulating me on the roast, but I couldn't help but notice the ham beast. She was on her phone, talking quietly, but occasionally shooting smug grins our way. As we left the restaurant, I had no idea what was about to unfold. Suddenly, I heard a voice behind us, shouting, "There he is, that one right there." I turned around, and the ham beast was pointing at me, that same smug grin on her face. Then, a gun was in my face. I can't recall the exact words he was yelling at me, but I knew it was her husband. Strangely, I noticed his wedding ring on the finger wrapped around the pistol handle, even though I'm not familiar with guns. That thing looked enormous. For a moment, I zoned out, staring down the barrel, his screams echoing in my ears. It was only when he pressed the gun against my forehead that reality snapped back, hitting me like a ton of bricks. I was shaking uncontrollably when he ordered me to kneel. I struggled to comply, and he screamed that I didn't deserve to die on my feet, a line that has stayed with me. I fell to my knees, terrified beyond words. I was so scared that without realizing it, I wet myself. I hadn't known it was really a thing, people wetting themselves out of fear, but it happened to me. I suppose the combination of alcohol and the large Coke I had consumed contributed. So, in addition to thinking I was about to die in a parking lot, I was soaked in my own urine, cowering and shaking on my knees outside a Burger King. The man continued to yell, though I can't recall much of what he said. I was waiting for the moment everything would go black, like falling asleep instantly and never waking up. I tried to shout something myself, maybe a plea for someone to call the police, but fear silenced my voice. It was like a living nightmare, one where you try to scream, but your voice fails you. Suddenly, the word cops caught my attention from a bystander nearby. Then, Ham Beast's voice repeated the word, this time with fear in her tone. The gun lifted from the back of my head, and as I mustered the courage to look around, I saw them, the ham beast and her husband, speeding out of the parking lot in a battered old sedan, followed by the wailing of sirens in the distance. As I gave my statement to the police, I realized my buddies were gone, and so was the car. I was driven home in a police car, which revealed to my parents that I had been drinking. To them, my near-death experience took a back seat to my alcohol consumption. They tried to ground me, but I was so shaken that I barely left the house for a week. This incident taught me to be cautious about trying to be funny, because you never know who might react with a gun to your head. Thank you for joining us for this journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Goodbye.